GM doubles down against CarPlay, and more Colossal fines against tech. This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is brought to you by the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter. Visit macvoices.com/newsletter today, sign up, and stay up to date. The next one this may be a very short discussion because I put this in my queue last week or during the week after the last show that Massimo's trial was supposed to start last Tuesday. So far, I haven't been able to find anything. I was doing a quick search today, and I haven't seen any updates or anything about this. Does anybody know any more? Has anybody seen anything? Did the trial start?
Since we talked about it on my show last week, there really hasn't been any other updates about it. So,
okay, and so you would have been last Thursday. So yeah, I put it here just because it's something we're watching. Because of the blood oxygen sensor on the Apple Watch question. And it seemed like from the tone of this article and a couple others I've seen, all of a sudden Massimo's not exactly in the driver's seat where they thought they were at the time. So,
hey, did
Marty,
you see who wrote this article?
Yes, I did.
Andrew Orr.
Yeah. And Marty, you have breaking news?
Yeah, I just said Pixelmator has acquired Massimo. That's a joke, Chuck.
Yes, I know.
Nice one.
Well played. Well played. Okay, Mark. Okay. I know you got to go, but I want to make sure we got in just under the wire here on the GM story. GM really wants you to believe you're better off without CarPlay.
Oh yeah, so you should put that note into the YouTube chat so all of the followers there can see it, because
it's there.
Yeah, it's you just read that and there's absolutely zero content other than big swing who used to work for Apple. I'm now at GM, and they made this decision before I got here, and I'm supporting it wholeheartedly, and I think it's really going to work out. And he says, how he thinks it's really going to work out and be the best thing in 3 or 4 different ways without giving a single specific. So, if that would be something, take that and, put it in, copy some of the quotes, put it into, your pages or your email and invoke your Apple writing tools on it to try to simplify it and boil it down. You'll see it turns out to be, negative 10 bytes of content.
Yeah, it's the hubris is amazing. And maybe we'll be the ones eating crow later. If they pull this off and are successful, but
I'm willing to do that. Again, look at the background chart. I was surprised to see this, but I knew GM stock has been going up recently, but I didn't know how well it's performed this year. It's certainly outperformed Apple and Google and a lot of other companies. So, but again, I don't think this is tied to their CarPlay replacement.
Mark, I know you have to go. What's the best place for people to connect with you and maybe comment on your comments?
Either LinkedIn or at Zitter, which is X and Twitter, combined. Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio. Great.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you, Chuck.
See you next time.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Joe in the chat room says the GM services are free for 8 years. So that to me says, how much are they worth? A, and B, that they're not going to be free after 8 years.
Yeah, there's some question about what that really means.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still think this was one of the strangest decisions I've seen out there. But
I just
This-
put a link in the chat of YouTube that just came out a few days ago, reviewing GM's infotainment. So,
Can you give us a quick summary, Jim? I'll put the chat in the chat and put the link in the chat room.
I put it. Don't you see it?
Yeah, and I dropped it in the YouTube chat as well.
In the main chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy was like, yeah, maybe it's all right. The comments are interesting. There were definitely a bunch of people in the comments that were like, no CarPlay, I'm not buying the car. And there was some discussion about whether what it is that it is free for 8 years. It's not clear that it's the whole thing that's free. Maybe it's the maps, but that other parts of it aren't free. So, interestingly, so far GM's only done this with their electric vehicles. And after a rocky start, their electric vehicles are selling pretty well. I think they passed Ford this year. So it seems like not having CarPlay is not stopping people from buying it. I think it would stop me. But
Well, Jim Joe says that in the chat, again, this is for EVs and not gas cars. The Google software is integrated into the car's performance and charging requirements similar to what Tesla does. Apple dropped the ball by not creating a competing infotainment operating system like Google did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying that what GM has done is similar to Tesla.
Well, I think he means the integration.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people with Teslas that say, "Hey, I wish I had CarPlay." And
I do.
an awful lot of people with Teslas, have mounts so that they can have their iPhone next to the screen so they can use their iPhone directly, which is kind of like crazy. And I to me it seems like for all of these, GM and Tesla and Rivian, the thing is, my phone, what you can never do is I can listen to a podcast. I can be listening, on my earbuds or, just the speaker or whatever. I can go get in my car and it'll continue right from where I left off. All my contacts are there. I can, sit here and do something with the map. Then I pop it into the car and boom, I'm ready to go. I'm not sitting in my car all day. I don't want a second system that's independent. I want to just pop the phone in and now the car knows everything that that I've been doing on the phone. And when I get out of the car, then I want to continue listening to the song or the podcast or, whatever it is. So, outside of discussions about how good or bad the software is and whether the car is going to spy on me, which is another concern, of course.
Yeah.
And whether they can extract more revenue out of me. But no matter what, they can't, there's no way they can duplicate that seamless. The device I have on me continues to be on me, and I carry around, my knowledge with me, and and then when I'm in the car, it's accessible, without having to actually fiddle with the phone screen, which is dangerous.
Jim, pardon me. I think that's a great point, and I think people maybe need to absorb that a little bit. I too am a podcast listener. Music might not be quite as disruptive, but to a podcast or to an audiobook,
Or
then
phone
you
call.
got.
I could be on a phone call with somebody.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, and now, Joe seems to be our automotive expert. So let me throw some other things in here. Android Automotive is an operating system that all the auto manufacturers are using. Apple CarPlay can operate on top of Android Auto if GM
Right.
wanted it to. The alternative for Apple
Yes.
is creating an Apple Music app for the GM cars, which currently does not exist for Apple users. Okay, so
I'm not sure that GM is Android Auto. Does
I don't know.
Joe sure about that? I
Yeah.
thought GM had developed their own system. And Android Auto.
It's their own.
There's some relationship between GM and Google as the platform. I don't know if it's Android Auto specifically, but
I think they're using the maps. GM
No,
hasn't
it's
developed
not.
their own. Huh?
I'm sorry.
It's not using GM.
Dave?
I don't think it's using Android Auto.
Right. I don't think so
Yeah.
either. I know like Volvo and Polestar are using Android Auto, and I think some other ones. But Android Auto includes the ability to run also CarPlay or there's Android Auto. Wait a minute. There's two Android things. There's one that is CarPlay is just a projection system. It's kind of like AirPlay, where you can project your phone onto a screen or your Mac onto a television or a screen. That's what CarPlay is. You're just projecting the phone onto the car, and all that's really happening is this car is you're just using the car screen and also the touch interface, but there's no smarts in the car at all. Everything's running on the phone. And the same thing, I guess it's, there's a similar system for Android. I think it's called Android Auto. And then there's also a thing called Android Automotive, which is a different thing that will work. So the other question is, what does the car do if there is, no phone at all? Right? So, all cars have something that they do when there's no phone at all. And Google is like, hey, we'll fix you up, car manufacturers. And so they've built this system, which I think is called Android Automotive. And so that is actually built into the car. And even if you get into the car and you don't have a phone, that's what's, hey, you can listen to the radio. You can look at whatever maps are, cars have had various systems, but Google is like, hey, car manufacturers, we'll take this over for you. We'll take this burden off your hands of having a native system.
Yeah. Joe is
But
saying
I think
that
GM has developed their own.
Yeah, Joe is saying Android Automotive is the operating system. Android Auto is like Apple CarPlay. Thank you for the clarification, Joe. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Webb?
I was going to point that out that Joe had helped define that. So in the context of
nomenclature,
it's in the context of me owning a Tesla. Actually, I'm on my fourth Tesla, and I've mentioned this on this show before. I think the big issue regarding Tesla and CarPlay is, I can Bluetooth connect my iPhone. I can listen to my podcast in Overcast, and I can also, within the Tesla operating infotainment system itself, there is an Apple Music feature, so I can actually get into my Apple Music within the Tesla itself. It still goes back to, and the reason why these automotive companies are pushing back is that I think people want to have their Apple Maps be the interface for the autonomous driving features or the semi-autonomous driving features, and I don't see how that's going to happen. The integration that you got to have with the autonomous driving and the operating system within the car is pick and play, whether you're going to use the Tesla app or whether you're going to use the Tesla system or the iPhone app. The integration is just not there. So I always go back and I think about what when people say I don't have CarPlay on my Tesla screen. Is that because I don't have Waze? Is that it's I can't order my Chick-fil-A through my Tesla screen because we have that feed. You understand what I'm saying? I wish my car had CarPlay, but I don't demand that it has CarPlay. I'll put it that way.
Webb, to straighten me out now. So are you saying that you can't have Waze in the Tesla? Forget the iPhone question. Pardon me.
No.
You don't.
Well, I can't have it on the screen in the Tesla. Okay.
Right. So you have you have a Waze. Sorry.
No,
you have a Waze
I'd be using Waze on the app on my phone. That's the only way I can get to Waze in the Tesla. There's even a way to get around that. It's a hack, but like I said, the real issue comes down to getting through the some of the features that are in the car itself that are not their what's the word I'm looking for? They're proprietary. I'll just leave it at that. So I can use Waze in the Tesla, but I'm using it on my phone. I'm not projecting it on the screen because I don't have CarPlay. In another one of my vehicles, my Ford, I can use the iPhone apps and view them on the screen because that car has CarPlay on it. That's what it does. But my Ford doesn't have autonomous driving, so that's why it. Go ahead.
Right, but the thing is, even with autonomous driving, all that means is to do that you would have to use the Tesla navigation to do the autonomous driving. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't project something else on the screen. The whole point of autonomous driving is it's supposed to do it for you, right? You don't need to look at the map while it's driving. So, you brought up the point of you're using Overcast, but you didn't mention it, but I'm sure you're actually running Overcast on your phone and you have to use your phone to select.
Of course.
Well, but it's not, of course, because on my car, Overcast has an interface on the main screen, and I can use it and select different podcasts and speed up, skip ahead or skip back
through CarPlay.
Through CarPlay interface,
right. Through
CarPlay,
right,
and through buttons on my steering wheel and whatnot. Tesla, you can watch YouTube on the Tesla. You can do web browsing on Tesla. They could have put a projection interface for the iPhone. They choose not to, and it's a business decision, and they have every right to do whatever business decision they want. But it's not a technical decision. It's not technically impossible.
So, at what point are we going to see an add-on, an aftermarket that doesn't even maybe necessarily require a heavy-duty install into the car, but some kind of installation that'll give a second CarPlay screen that for those people who have one of these vehicles that do want the CarPlay experience on a larger screen. And no, it's not going to be a couple years ago. Are there decent ones out there?
You can buy CarPlay screens for Teslas.
Yeah, there is a platform to do that. Yeah,
there's multiple.
So what is it? I mean, is it? I mean, does it look like a real kludge, or is it a reasonably decent looking setup?
I've never seen one in person. One thing I know that there's several of is, the Tesla has no screen in front of the steering wheel, and so there are a number of third-party add-ons that you put a second screen there, and you can run CarPlay on that, or do other things.
The two original Teslas do have a screen in front of the steering wheel.
Well, you're right, but the bulk of Teslas, which is 3s and Ys,
but the 3 and the Ys don't. Yeah,
and that's at this point that's 90% of the Teslas that are out there. Um, and I mean, and one thing about Tesla that I don't hear about, but I think is a big plus for the platform, is that they have this huge number of cars that are very consistent. So since 2018, the 3 and then the Y, a lot of the parts are all the same, and so and they haven't changed. So like if you buy an add-on for most cars, you're got to be very careful that, I have a 2017 Ford, and don't buy the add-on for the 2016 one, right? But for Teslas, they haven't changed since in terms of add-ons since the Model 3 came out. So the same add-on screen, for example, can be put on any Model 3 or any Model Y, which is a pretty big number of cars. So I've never seen one of these in person, but they've got good ratings.
They do. I just punched it up on Amazon. I'm surprised that this hasn't been more widely discussed, because I mean, here's one from Vantru, which is a reasonably well-known name if you're into dash cams. Some of the others aren't so well known that I don't recognize them, but they look like decent looking screens that would mount similar to the way a dash cam would, or maybe even an iPhone mount would. So I'm a little surprised that we just haven't heard more about these. I didn't know these existed.
Well, people in the Tesla community know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
know
so.
about 'em.
And there's even a platform that you can do it that puts it on to the Tesla screen itself. So,
Although I think that has a little bit of mixed reviews.
it does. I just saw a video on Amazon or on YouTube last night that it's still kludgy.
We may have seen
The
the same-
aspect ratio
the
on the
same
screen
video.
isn't right. So, but
Yeah. Well, if GM continues down this path and the CarPlay people feel strongly enough, somebody will take the time to come out with a good one.
I also want to, I just looked over and I saw Joe making a comment too that if you remember, Android Automotive is being replaced very much so by QNX, which was a BlackBerry company, and that was kind of the earlier automotive OS, if you will. That's a broad statement. It means a lot, and I don't mean it that way, but Joe knows the stuff better than I do. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, because and funny thing is, I just had, for no real good reason, I had an occasion to test drive a new car. I'm not getting a new car, but that's a whole long story. But bottom line is, the first question that they asked me when we got in the car was, "Do you use CarPlay?" And I thought that's a really interesting first question.
What kind of car was it?
What
was a
brand?
Honda.
Yeah.
It was a Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A what?
But a Honda.
Oh, okay, and that has it, right?
Yeah, that has it. But just, I mean, I guess they wouldn't have asked the question if the answer was they couldn't respond positively.
No, right.
But on the other hand, it was just the idea that the first thing they wanted to show me was how easily wireless CarPlay worked and could integrate with the car. So I don't know. That tells me something. I'm not quite sure what.
When people go for rides in my car, the CarPlay is something that people are very impressed with. I've got a 14-inch screen, and it's pretty neat.
No, absolutely.
I can say it as well. My wife's Jeep Grand Cherokee with wireless. It's a very, very flawless experience.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to cut. We're down to the end, and there was one last one that I wanted to bring up. I just couldn't stand it, and that is that Google fines Russia I think it's decillion dollars.
It really doesn't matter what it is.
It's
Paying.
20 with a ridiculous number of zeros behind it. I mean, I kind of don't even know what the point is here, but this is one of those silly last stories that just, you shake your head and say, do they really, somewhere, in another article, I think it said that this is like more than all the money in the world.
way more.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
I suspect Elon.
Yeah.
what?
Here you go.
now come on.
Could be.
Why are we picking on Elon?
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, well, okay. All right. It just, you look at this and you think, well, okay, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do one other one because this has become something we've talked about in a number of different shows. But this one is Meta slapped with a $15 million fine by South Korea. So is South Korea and now Russia taking lessons from the UK and trying to fund their governments by fining tech companies?
Well, this is like trying someone in absentia.
Yeah, well, the Russia one is stupid, but some of these others, I don't know. That's your conspiracy theory for the day, folks. Is that they're attacking tech companies to try to fund themselves. Yeah. Guys, it's good to be back. I missed you guys last week.
You too.
We will continue to do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Folks, you can be here with us and have conversations and weigh in. Like, Joe, thank you for all the comments tonight. The chat room was kind of quiet until you took off, and we really appreciate the information because you obviously have some experience the rest of us don't. That's youtube.com/MacVoicesTV if you want to be in here and throw your comments in. Let's go around the room, see where you can reach all of these folks, and we'll get out of here. And I'm going to flip it around. Start with Mr. Eric Bolden and his bowl of Blue Jays. Bowl of Blue Jays. Eric, where can folks connect with you?
Well, obviously, with a spoon, really, really close to that giant bowl. Now I'm getting hungry. Let's see. I think I will go for EA Bolden at Blue Sky because there's a whole pile of journalists for some unknown reason that just showed up there, as well as EA Bolden at techhub.social on Mastodon.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, Blue Sky does seem to have taken off a bit. Nice to see. Yep. Jim Ray, where can folks connect with you when you're not driving around in your car with the 14-inch CarPlay screen?
Oh, please don't connect with me. But if you must, you can do it on Mastodon. What is that? ProView Jim, ProVueJim at techhub.social.
Thank you, Jim. Well, Bixby, I hope I better not say that you're a new grandfather, so I'll just let it alone. So where can folks connect with you?
I'll be over with my new granddaughter, so thank you very much. What are we going to do today? So many social platforms to meet and greet. Why don't we just go with? I'll follow Eric's lead and just web Bixby at Blue Sky. So and however you get to Blue Sky, that's WEBBIXBY. So
great, thank you, Web.
Yeah,
Marty
I got
Jencius.
a whole list of them right here. So.
There's so many. He's so popular, folks.
But it's web Bixby at almost all of them. So
yeah, that makes it easy. Marty Jencius, where can folks find you?
Well, Tuesday nights here with the gang. I enjoy it so much. And then Thursday nights with Dave on In Touch with iOS. Monday nights with Eric. I almost said Sunday nights. Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time with Vision Profiles. And now Wednesdays at 9 p.m. with the Old Mac Gang, seasoned Mac veterans talking about senior seasoned problems that we have with Macs.
Interesting. Okay. Check it out. Let's see.
Got an age limit on that, Marty?
Pardon?
Got an age limit on that?
Our panel varies from 67 to 87. So it's interesting.
I'm not there yet. So
yeah.
Work on it, Webb.
I'm working. Yeah.
We're all working. But Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, the tone-on-tone individual. Where can folks connect with you?
Yeah, best place to reach me is on Mastodon, Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
David Ginsburg is mourning Jimmy Buffett's loss based on his T-shirt. So, Dave, where can folks find you when you're not sipping a margarita?
If I'm not at the Apple Store buying Mac Minis, I'm at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com. You can my YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm here on Tuesday nights. I'm on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network. You should go check that out. This past episode, I was a roving reporter and actually did a live shoot of me actually making the Mac Mini purchases. You also can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud.
Dave, here's a pen. Just stab me through the heart. Get it over with, would you?
I can bring the Vision Pro over too. You know.
No, just leave the Vision Pro there. Jeez. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices Live. These guys love to try to help me spend my money, and I don't have any, so stop it. We'll be back next Tuesday and with regular Mac Voices in between. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.